The Age of Warrior Kings, Burma and Siam in the 16th century. The history of empires is often determined by extraordinary individuals, people whose will and ambition reshape an entire era. In the 16th century, on the mainland of Southeast Asia, a bloody and heroic century was written by such warrior kings. This is the story of the miraculous rise of a small principality that grew to create one of the largest empires in the region's history. A story of relentless conquests, of earth-shattering battles between the two most powerful peoples, the Burmese and the Thais. This is also the story of a nation's fierce resurgence from vassalage to reclaim its independence and rise to the pinnacle of glory. Welcome back to the History of Southeast Asia series. In episode 16, we will step into a tumultuous century, an age of the great warrior kings of Burma and Siam. Part 1. The disintegration of Burma and the rise of the Toungoo dynasty. To understand the explosion of Burmese power in the 16th century, we must first return to a landscape of disintegration. After the glorious pagan empire collapsed under the Mongol invasions at the end of the 13th century, Burma fell into a period of division and chaos that lasted for over 250 years. Real power lay in the hands of the Shan chieftains, who had swept down from the north and established a series of principalities. The kingdom of Ava in central Burma, ruled by the Shan, was but a shadow of the old pagan empire. In the south, the Mon kingdom, with its center at Pegu, had regained its independence and become incredibly prosperous through maritime trade. Burma was no longer a unified nation, but a political chessboard of rival powers. Amidst this context, a new, small, but highly ambitious power was quietly rising. This was the Burmese Principality of Toungoo, a state located deep in the Sitang River Valley, sheltered by rugged mountain ranges. Under the leadership of kings like King Bayinnaung, reigned 1486 to 1531, Toungoo became a refuge for patriotic Burmans who harbored the dream of reunifying their nation. And in the year 1531, an extraordinary figure ascended the throne of Toungoo at the age of just 16. His name was Tabinshwehti. He was the man who would ignite a great conquest that would completely change the power map of Southeast Asia. Part 2. Tabinshwehti, the Flame of Conquest. Tabinshwehti was a military genius, a man of extraordinary vision and ambition. At his side was an equally brilliant general, his sworn brother and brother-in-law, Bayinnaung. Together, they transformed the small army of Toungoo into a fearsome war machine. Tabinshwehti's first target was the Mon kingdom of Pegu to the south. Pegu was a wealthy commercial center that controlled the seaports and had contact with the Portuguese, who brought with them a powerful new weapon, the musket. Tabinshwehti realized that to unify Burma, he first had to capture Pegu. The Toungoo-Pegu War lasted for several years. After many difficult campaigns, in 1539, Tabinshwehti captured the capital of Pegu. Instead of destroying it, he made a wise political move. He moved his own capital to Pegu, had himself crowned according to Mon tradition, and tried to build a unified empire of both Burmans and Mons. He hired Portuguese mercenaries and equipped his army with firearms, giving him a decisive military advantage. With his new power, Tabinshwehti continued his conquests. He attacked Prome, subdued other vassals, and unified most of Burma for the first time. But his ambition did not stop there. He looked eastward, towards the powerful kingdom of the Thais, Ayutthaya. In 1548, Tabinshwehti launched the first invasion of Ayutthaya. His army, supported by his Portuguese contingent, advanced to besiege the capital city. The siege witnessed a legendary event. Queen Ayutthaya of Siam bravely sacrificed her own life on her war elephant to save her husband. Although he was unable to capture the capital, which was protected by its surrounding rivers, this attack signaled the rise of a new, aggressive, and dangerous Burmese power. However, Tabinshwehti's career ended in tragedy. In his later years, he descended into alcoholism and lost his judgment. In 1550, while he was on a hunting trip, he was assassinated by a Mon nobleman. His fledgling empire immediately disintegrated. Part 3. Bayinnaung, King of Kings and the Great Conquests. Amidst the collapse of Tabinshwehti's empire, his brother-in-law, Bayinnaung, rose to the occasion. He was one of the greatest conquerors not just of Southeast Asia, but in all of Asian history. With an iron will and extraordinary military talent, he began a long campaign to reunify the empire. Within a few years, from 1551 to 1555, Bayinnaung defeated all his rivals one by one, retaking Toungoo, Prome, Pegu, and finally the northern capital of Ava. He had once again unified all of Burma under a single banner. But this was only the beginning. Bayinnaung launched a series of military campaigns of unprecedented scale and speed. Conquest of the Shan states. 1557, he led his army into the northern hills, subduing the Shan chieftains who had destabilized Burma for centuries. Conquest of Chiang Mai. 1558, he attacked and captured the Lanna Kingdom, a key ally of Ayutthaya, turning it into a vassal state. Conquest of Manipur. 1560, he expanded his influence westward to the borders of India. The war with Ayutthaya. This was his greatest and most decisive confrontation. After years of preparation, and using a dispute over sacred white elephants as a pretext, Bayinnaung mobilized a massive army, said to number in the hundreds of thousands, to attack Ayutthaya. This war lasted for several years, culminating in 1569 when, after a brutal siege, the capital of Ayutthaya fell. The Siamese king and the royal family were taken to Pegu as prisoners. For the first time in its history, Ayutthaya became a vassal of Burma. Conquest of Laos. 1574, Bayinnaung continued his conquests, attacking and capturing the capital of Vientiane of the Lanzang Kingdom. By the end of his reign, Bayinnaung had built the largest empire in the history of Southeast Asia, encompassing all of Burma, the Lanna Kingdom, the Ayutthaya Kingdom, the Lanzang Kingdom, and other territories. He styled himself the King of Kings. His capital at Pegu became a magnificent international city, where envoys and merchants from all over the world came. Part 4. The nature of the Toungoo Empire and the Siamese Revolt. Bayinnaung's empire was vast, but it was also incredibly fragile. It was not a centrally administered state like the Roman or Ming empires. It was a classic mandala state, built entirely upon the personal authority of a single warrior king. The conquered lands were not directly annexed, but were ruled by vassal kings who had to swear an oath of loyalty to Bayinnaung, pay tribute, and send their sons to Pegu as hostages. As long as Bayinnaung was alive and strong, this system worked. But it required a relentless military effort. Almost his entire reign was spent on campaign, which exhausted the manpower and resources of the Burmese heartland. When Bayinnaung died in 1581, the inevitable happened. His son and successor, Nanda Bayin, did not possess his father's charisma or talent. The empire immediately began to show signs of disintegration. Vassals began to rebel, and in Ayutthaya, one of those former royal hostages, now a grown prince, saw his opportunity. His name was Naresuan. He would become one of Thailand's greatest national heroes. In 1584, in a sacred ceremony, Naresuan declared Ayutthaya's independence from Burmese rule. King Nanda Bayin of Burma was enraged and repeatedly sent large invasion armies to punish him, but all were defeated by Naresuan's brilliant military genius. Part 5. The Historic Elephant Duel and the Collapse of the First Toungoo Empire. The confrontation between Burma and Siam reached its climax in the year 1593. King Nanda Bayin gambled everything on a final invasion, led by his own son, the Crown Prince Mingi Swa. The decisive battle took place at Nong Sarai. According to the Thai chronicles, during the heat of the battle, King Naresuan's war elephant went into a frenzy and charged deep into the Burmese ranks, followed only by his brother's elephant. Finding himself isolated and face-to-face with the Burmese Crown Prince, Naresuan issued a heroic challenge. "My brother, why do you stand in the shade of a tree on your elephant? Come forth and let us fight a single combat on elephant back for our honor. There will be no king in the future who will have such a duel." The Burmese Crown Prince accepted the challenge. The two war elephants crashed into each other. In the furious duel that followed, King Naresuan cut down Crown Prince Mingi Swa with his glaive, killing him on the back of his elephant. The death of the Crown Prince broke the morale of the Burmese army, which disintegrated. This historic elephant duel was not just a military victory, it was a spiritual one, affirming Siam's complete independence. After this defeat, Bayinnaung's empire totally collapsed. King Naresuan was assassinated, and the capital of Pegu was destroyed. Burma once again descended into chaos. Not only did King Naresuan regain independence, but he took this opportunity to counterattack, invading Burmese territory itself and establishing Ayutthaya as the dominant power in the region. Ending. The 16th century was one of the bloodiest, most dramatic, and most heroic centuries in the history of mainland Southeast Asia. It was an epic of imperial ambition and the spirit of national independence. The great warrior kings like Tabinshwehti, Bayinnaung, and Naresuan not only shaped the destinies of their own nations, but also left behind profound legacies and historical lessons. From the ashes of the First Toungoo Empire, the Burmese people would once again rise to reunify. The confrontation between Burma and Siam was not over. It would continue to be one of the main currents of the region's history for centuries to come. History has so many more stories to tell. To make sure you don't miss a single one, take action now. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell. Join us as we uncover the hidden corners of the past. See you next time.